Hi, I'm Katie Todd, and today's episode is Meltdowns Part 2. As we've been looking at in the last few weeks, we're all being challenged enormously. We're having a bit of a roller coaster ride, and every now and then we all have our meltdowns. For some people it's explosive, it's really loud, but other people become more quiet. They implode and they withdraw, and then that can set up the partner or someone else to be explosive as a result. I want to tell you a story about someone I know who's a lovely person who had a particularly damaging meltdown last week. This person had been separated for a long time and suddenly found that her ex had passed away. This was a devastating experience. There were kids still to be raised. A few days after her ex's funeral, she called in her older son in his early 20s and went absolutely ballistic. She screamed and ranted and raved and just lost the plot. And the bottom line was, you will have to earn my love, you will have to earn my trust. Now this poor kid had just lost his father, had just buried him 3 days before. All the things that this lady was attacking the child for were actually qualities in herself. She was saying, you're too dependent, you're not working hard enough, you're not reliable enough, you don't manage money well. All those sorts of favourite topics we have, you know, the red herrings that we all take. This was exactly her issue. She was very, very frightened, in fact paralysed by fear of taking the whole responsibility for these kids from now on. She felt like she had to become the other and be both parents, and she was feeling totally overwhelmed and inadequate for the task. In her fear, she became very emotionally and mentally abusive. This, of course, was not her intent. For the kid, it was absolutely devastating. Where do I turn? What parent do I have? When we come from fear, we alienate those we love very, very badly. And not only that, when you have meltdowns, you get very angry about things. Most of the time we do not talk about what the real issue is. We get stuck on this one, this one, this one, and this one. And if you hang in there long enough with them, you may find what it really is about. And it will always be about feeling inadequate. It will always be about feeling overwhelmed. And it will always be about, I don't feel enough, I can't manage. In other words, it's about we've fallen into the child. I've touched on this before, but we've all got an inner child. And when we get into our child, say we're feeling about 5 and we don't realise it, we can't manage the adult world. When we feel like we're about to have a meltdown, it's essential that we zip up. Someone else I knew had an awful meltdown at a friend of his last night. Just went off his tree. Wanted to attack this person, this person, this person, this person. Eventually, an hour later, we found out that someone over here had done something that had really hurt him and challenged him. Had he addressed that one? No. Instead, he was going to knock this one off, this one off, this one off, and manufacture something to be upset about. The damage that this behaviour does is extraordinary. I've talked before about unconditional love. It's like this energy between us. And when you have these outrages, which is really the child inside having tantrums, you put a hole in there. You can't fix that easily. The other pulls back and thinks, whoa, this is not safe. And I also will guarantee you, whatever you're screaming about, you will definitely not get what you want. You will definitely alienate the person. What we need to do when we're having meltdowns, and I've had my fair share, trust me, in my first marriage of 18 years, I did used to go ballistic quite often, and it was very damaging, not only to the relationship and to the other, but to my sense of self. I didn't like myself a lot. In fact, I would go so far to say I hated myself after this, but I get so frustrated and I did not know what to do. I think that's what happens for all of us. We don't know what to do. We feel powerless. What we need to do is realise, wow, am I reactive right now? Last week I came home and I felt very critical, which these days I don't usually feel. So instead of going and saying, why is that like that and well, how come this happened? I said to my husband, boy, I am so cranky. I feel like setting up a real fight somewhere. I must be so overtired and feeling quite overwhelmed. He said, that's all right, go and sit down, I'll get you a gin and tonic. That's my new solution. No, not really. Anyway, that was a good way of handling it because I said I'm vulnerable. I said I feel like doing that. I named it, but I didn't go there. That's better for me, that's better for him, and it's better for the love that we share. Sometimes it's taken me 3 days to have to zip my mouth until I can say in one sentence, and say it as calmly as I'm saying now, you know what? I felt, and make I statements, not you, I felt ... about this. And I would really appreciate if we could maybe. If you say it like that, 100%, maybe 99%, you'll get heard, you're not attacking, you're owning, and if it is a loving relationship, you'll get what you're asking for. That is the secret. Do not lash out and indulge in your tantrums. Love is too precious, and it takes an awfully long time to heal.